There's nothing like native prairie in Saskatchewan. It's blooms beautiful with tiger lilies, and in the spring the kids are always looking for crocuses, and they're always making a bet to who can see the first bluebird come into the area. And it's just a lot of wildlife and a lot of things that a lot of city kids don't get to see.
Hi, I'm Michael Burgess, and this is my wife Tammy, and we're here on the Circle Y Ranch in beautiful Big Muddy Valley of southern Saskatchewan. We're a third generation on the ranch, and we've raised the fourth generation hoping to take over. We're on about 20,000 acres of majority of native prairie grass, breed about 425 majority Angus females every year. Welcome to the tour of our ranch. This is the Three Sisters in the heart of the Big Muddy Badlands. Now right here at Three Sisters, it's a prime example of how fragile this landscape is and can be. We don't like to load up the cattle, put too intensive a grazing. You create trails and they start to wash, and so it's more of a low impact grazing area, and that's why as winter grazing it just the prime location. Prime mule deer habitat out here. We've got some elk and moose, the Sprague's pipit and burrowing owl, loggerhead shrike, piping plover on the shores of the Big Muddy Lake. We've had reports of cougar. Our conservation officer swears he's seen a wolverine out here, so there's a diverse array of species that call the Circle Y Ranch home.
The native prairie that we steward around here is really important to us because there's not a lot of it left in Saskatchewan. They say there's only about 17% of Saskatchewan that is actually still in native prairie, so we find that it's very, very important to keep it in good condition for what we have of it.
Well, my grandfather always said if you had old grass, you'll have new grass, and that, I guess, was coming through from ranching there in the tail end of the 30s and what he saw. And my dad was a great believer in having good grass. We've gone to a longer duration rest rotation with our breeding pastures, which are used basically from the middle of July till October, middle of October. We've got three main pastures that the cow herd will be in once every 3 years. So we try to use it hard. We'll salt and mineral in the brush so the cows trample that, so the grass will recover faster than the brush. By having basically a three full years of rest through the growing season, we're pretty much guaranteed at least 1 year, and sometimes we get 3 good years of it. Really visible in the spring as they start to green up, because the pasture that was used hard the year before will start to be showing, it'll be a brighter green because there isn't the old litter in there, but it generally won't grow as back as tall that first year, and as the pastures progress through their rest and rotation, lots of times we turn cattle back into needle and thread, and this year we've seen a proliferation of western porcupine that's 2.5 feet tall, and green needle grass that'll be hitting up to 4 feet tall, which is not the norm in most of the pastures in this area anymore.
We also have a very rich history of outlaws in this area, so that has a lot to do with what I do in my day-to-day life at my gallery. When my tourists come in and I tell them the story of what this ranch went through in the early years with the outlaws and that kind of thing, it's actually kind of funny how they react to it, because There was a lot of funny stuff that was happening on this ranch with the Mounties coming down here in 1902 to clean up the area, and actually living with the guy that was helping change all the brands on the horses that they were stealing in the area. And I believe that it's important to make sure that we don't lose the history of this area, the ranch that we live on. And I want to be able to put across to the people that usually show up at the ranch are from the city or from other countries even, and just to be able to understand the rich history of this area and what ranch land has given Saskatchewan for the history of this area.
Well, in 2000 I decided ranching business was too important to let everybody else make the decision, so I was to the Stock Growers Convention. I let my name stand, and I sat on the board for 8 years. After my time with the stock growers, a couple friends, I started the Rancher Stewardship Alliance Incorporated. I guess it becomes a way of life. I'd like to pass on to my kids that it's the grass is the ranch. That's the heart and soul and backbone. If you don't have grass, you're not going to have a ranch. You're not going to run cows. You're not going to run your horses. You have to maintain a good solid foundation. Or my grandpa, the kids' great grandpa, said if you have old grass, you'll have new grass. And we're here, a lot of this is crown lease land with a mixture of deeded in it. And I've always treated it as if it's our own. I've always wanted it to be improving better than it is, I guess, and I think it's pretty good now, but I guess it becomes a bit of a passion to try to see what you can do.
It's very important for us to maintain the stewardship of the land and to be able to pass that stewardship on to the next generation and taking care of this ranch. And the history goes along with it. It tells you what it used to be like in here. It kind of tells you how far in advance we have come to be able to protect this ranch and keep it in the pristine condition that it is in, and hopefully the next generation will appreciate the history that it's gone through, up through until we're able to hand it over to them.